it's Carol Williams with Williams Immigration, and I am back for another Monday morning edition of Beyond the Soundbite, where we talk about what's been going on with US-based immigration over the past week and some big things. So I'm going to dive right in because I know it is early morning. I know hopefully y'all have your coffee or your tea, and I know this is how you start your Monday, so I appreciate you all watching. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a legislative update. So last week we were calling that Immigration Legislation Week. So we did see some movement. The House Democrats passed a pair of bills that would allow a path to U.S. citizenship for our dreamers and our migrant farm workers. So the dreamers, as we know, are individuals that were brought to this country by their parents. They have been out of status since they crossed into the U.S., and they have been in a state of legal limbo for quite some time. So the House passed a measure that would, in fact, give them a path to citizenship along with our migrant farm workers. These bills would also scoop in there folks that are currently in TPS. So we are looking at roughly 4.5 million people that could be positively impacted and given a path to citizenship by these particular two bills. So this is one step forward for our dreamers, our migrant farm workers, and our individuals in TPS. Now we need the Senate to act on the same legislation. And right now, obviously, since this only happened last week in the House, we don't have any movement from the Senate yet. And because we don't have any movement from the Senate yet, I want to make super, super clear that people understand that these two bills are not yet law, but it is one step forward. So we would need Senate to also pass these two bills in order to give this pathway to citizenship, this very concrete pathway to citizenship for 4.5 million individuals that are currently in the US. So that was our great news on the legislative front from last week. Also on the legislative front, I guess maybe on the legal front from last week, the provision regarding the public charge rule from the prior White House administration was removed from the regulations. So that more restrictive public charge rule is officially done. It is officially off of the legal books, as we say. And last week, late Friday afternoon, as is always immigration, we always get late Friday afternoon surprises. They have reissued several forms that had affidavit of support, or I should say affidavit of financial sufficiency, and the I-954, the 944, as well as the questions regarding the public charge information. All of those questions have been removed from various forms. The I-129, the 485, several forms no longer have these questions that directly relate to that more restrictive public charge rule. So that is done. That is in our rear view mirror. So we are moving on. So that is great news for many individuals. The H-1B lottery, folks, it is still going on. It is still open. It is open until the 25th of March at noon. That is this Thursday. So you still have time to be entered into the H-1B lottery. If you have any questions about being entered into the H-1B lottery, now is the time to start asking them and get your answers. So feel free to call our office at 954-903-1337. And we are certainly happy to help you with any of your H-1B lottery issues and questions. But the lottery does close this Thursday, March 25th at noon Eastern Standard Time. So please don't wait until the last minute. You know, it's technology. We can always have technology glitches, and so we don't want you left out of the lottery because of a technology glitch. So if you have any questions, reach out to our office and we are happy to help you. So we know that every 30 days since March of last year, the US, Mexico, and Canada have evaluated the pandemic, and they have determined every 30 days what they are going to do with land border crossings. So we just got word that Canada, US, and Mexico are keeping the land borders closed. That closure has now been extended until April 21st. This only applies to the land borders. So again, if you are trying to drive, rent an RV, buy an RV, go across the border, maybe go to Niagara Falls, maybe go to Mexico City and drive for pleasure, for vacation, to visit family, that is a no-go. They will turn you around at the border. This is an effort to stop the spread of COVID-19 and now trying to stop the spread of the various variants of the COVID-19 virus. So again, this only applies to the land borders. You are able to fly in and out of Canada and in and out of Mexico, but just be aware that some states and parts of each country do have quarantine restrictions if you are traveling. So be sure to check up on those before you buy any kind of plane tickets. So the next thing I want to talk to you about are interviews being waived at consulates for non-immigrant visa applicants. It used to be that the consulate would sometimes, in its discretion, waive interviews for individuals who were essentially applying for the exact same visa category, and their visa may have expired 24 months prior. The Department of State and the consulates are now extending that time period, and they are saying that if your non-immigrant visa has expired within 48 months, you are eligible for an exercise of discretion to have your interview at the consulate waived. So this is discretion. They do not have to waive your interview. So if you're applying for a non-immigrant visa, understand and get your mind wrapped around the fact that you are definitely going to have to go in. You're definitely going to have an interview, and it will just be a wonderful surprise if they do not require that. But they are trying to keep the visa processes moving along and at the same time limit the number of people that go into the consulates because they are trying to keep everyone safe. So just keep that in mind. So hopefully you're one of those who has their visa waived. But if you do have to go into the consulate, understand that they are working as quickly as they can, given the various country conditions, in terms of trying to get visas processed for everyone. Great news. We have had some TPS designations and redesignations. So Myanmar has a new TPS designation. You must be able to show that you've been continuously resident in the United States from March 11 of this year. TPS will expire in 18 months. We are waiting for specific dates and additional requirements and processing applications, processing details from DHS, Department of Homeland Security. We don't have that yet. We just know that Myanmar is a new TPS designation. And TPS stands for Temporary Protected Status. It is a status granted to individuals who are here in the US and are from countries where there is a situation beyond their control and it just does not make sense or may not be safe for them to return home. That could be political unrest, that could be some sort of natural disaster like rock slides, mudslides, hurricanes devastating our country, tsunamis. And it's also important that it is a temporary way to remain in the United States. Currently, being here in TPS does not automatically give you a way, a path to green card and thus citizenship. It is indeed meant to be temporary. The other redesignation that we've had has been Syria. So individuals that are currently in TPS status and are from Syria, they have now been redesignated for another 18 months, which will end September 30th of next year. So September 30th of 2022. And 2 weeks prior, we had a designation for Venezuelans for TPS. So a lot going on the TPS front. This is great news for the individuals that are eligible for TPS, but also wonderful news for employers. These individuals will have access to employment authorization. So you want to make sure that your employees who are in TPS status are showing you the right employment authorization document. And we are still waiting for the current White House to say something, anything about the current travel restriction and suspension for individuals who need H or L visas. The prior White House administration extended that travel suspension until March 31st. So at the end of this month, we are, as you know, in the midst of H-1B cap season. The lottery is still open. And so once the lottery is closed and we know who have been selected in the lottery, those new H applications are going to be filed. Several of those people are outside of the United States. So we need to know what we're doing with those individuals that are outside of the United States, because as it stands currently, they are not eligible to even apply for visas at the consulate. So we are waiting for the current White House administration to make a decision as to whether or not they are just going to let that prior administration's proclamation just end as of March 31st, and then we go back to business as usual, or whether they are going to extend the travel suspension as is currently written, or if they're going to do something completely different. So we are still waiting. And of course, as soon as I know anything, I will keep you up to date. That is all I have for this Monday morning's edition of Beyond the Soundbite. I am Carol Williams with Williams Immigration. If you have any questions or any comments, please feel free to drop those in the comments. If you're watching this on the replay, you can always put #replay. I do go back in and look at the comments and I do respond. If you'd like to be added to the firm's newsletter, please feel free to either drop your email in the comments or you can send me a message and I will add you to our newsletter list. If this has been helpful for you, please like and share with colleagues and friends who you also may think will find it helpful. Again, I am Carol Williams with Williams Immigration, and this is your Monday edition of Beyond the Soundbite. Everyone have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.